All right, whiskey freaks, today we're diving into some breaking news that, honestly, it feels like somebody shook up the bourbon world like a bad cocktail. First, we got Four Roses and Gallo, right? Then we're all fired up. We're all thinking, hey, Brown-Forman and Pernod Ricard, okay. But wait, because there are now reports from real-life news organizations, namely the Wall Street Journal, and those guys know business. And this is crazy, guys. Sazerac is interested in making a deal involving Brown-Forman. That Brown-Forman. You know him best as the folks behind Jack Daniels and Old Forester, Woodford Reserve. Basically a cornerstone of American whiskey. And Sazerac, you already know these cats, right? Buffalo Trace, Pappy Van Winkle, Eagle Rare, George T. Stagg, all that stuff. And you know them best as the company that somehow turns every release into a blessed scavenger hunt. So here's what's going on. Reports are circulating that Sazerac has at least shown interest in some kind of deal involving Brown-Forman. And before everybody loses their ever-loving minds and starts hoarding bottles like it's the apocalypse, this is not a done deal. This is not even close to a done deal. We're in what you call the early interest exploratory conversation stage, really. But even that, it's a big deal. Because if something did happen here, you're talking about one of the largest privately held spirits companies in the world, Sazerac, potentially making a move involving one of the most established publicly traded American whiskey companies, Brown-Forman. That's not small, guys. That's seismic. Now, what kind of a deal are we talking about, you're probably thinking? Well, that part is still unclear. It could mean a number of things. It could mean a full acquisition attempt. It could be a partial stake. It could be specific brands or specific asset deals. Or it could mean nothing at all. And the last option, it happens a lot more than people think in these types of situations. Companies explore deals all the time that never go anywhere. But let's talk about why this is interesting. At least it's interesting to me. If Sazerac were to get involved with anything under the Brown-Forman umbrella, you're suddenly looking at a situation where brands like Jack Daniels or Old Forester are even being mentioned in the same breath as Buffalo Trace products under one corporate influence. And that's wild. Because historically, these companies have operated very differently. Brown-Forman, they've been pretty consistent, pretty steady, pretty widely available as far as products are concerned, and they have strong global distribution. Now, Sazerac, they tend to lean into, we'll be generous and say the word scarcity. There's a lot of hype, a lot of limited releases, and let's be honest, when it comes to a lot of the things in the whiskey world from Sazerac, it's pretty chaotic. So naturally, the first question everybody has is, or at least I have it, what happens to availability? And the honest answer, at least at this point, we have no idea. Like none. Because again, we don't even know if anything is actually going to happen here. Now, from a business standpoint, this kind of interest does make some sense. Sazerac has been expanding aggressively over the years. 2 weeks ago, they bought Garrett County Distilling. They bought, five different distilleries in the last few years. They've upgraded their production there at Buffalo Trace in Frankfurt. They got more distilleries. They got more warehouses. They got more brands. And they're not sitting still. Now, Brown-Forman, on the other hand, they've already got global reach and massive brand recognition, especially with Jack Daniels. So you can see where there might be some strategic interest, at least on paper. But there are also some huge hurdles. There could be a lot of regulatory scrutiny here. It could be intense if this turned into anything major, because you're talking about consolidation at a level that regulators, at least during normal times, they tend to look at very, very closely. I don't know if that's the case in the time we're in now. Hard to tell, really. Either way, I say, we got to pump the brakes a little bit. This is not happening tomorrow. And in fact, it might not happen at all. But it's one of those stories that you have to pay attention to. At least I'm paying attention to it Because if it develops, it could reshape parts of the bourbon and whiskey landscape forever. And you better believe if anything real starts to move here, we're going to be talking about it right here on the podcast. Guys, don't forget to like and most importantly, subscribe. I need you to subscribe on YouTube. You're doing a great job on Apple and Spotify, but subscribe YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon. The Blind Tasting Podcast is literally everywhere, and you don't want to miss any hot whiskey news. So do the things. Stay up to date on everything in the whiskey world. Guys, a regular episode is going to drop in just a few days, so stay tuned. And as always, thanks for listening to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your #1 attitudinal bourbon destination.